From one driver running in the middle of the track to the moment where a driver did the impossible.
Oh my goodness!
These are the times when race car drivers went absolutely crazy.
Oh my lord! He just touches, look at the car, goes up through the vertical, absolutely over a complete 360 degrees somersault.
Just like the bunch of craziness that happened in this race. Cause when the race was about to start, all of a sudden,
we've got a problem here. Montoya is bouncing out of the car and he looks pretty angry.
Since Montoya's BMW refused to fire up, this made things so much worse. But he didn't give up. And instead, he did something unusual.
He's saying, get me the spare, I think. He's running back.
Be running over to the spare car.
Now, even though Montoya did that to stay in the race, he still had to start from last place, since the rest already started on with their race. But despite that late start, Montoya still managed to catch up. He even gave some frontrunners a serious challenge. So, after all that, finally, things started to look positive for Montoya. But then, all of a sudden, everything changed.
Oh, what's this? A black flag?
Yep, it's black flag for Montoya.
Because of the rule breach earlier, officials slapped him with a black flag, and his race was over. Later, you'll see this driver doing the impossible. But first, you gotta see the crazy incident that happened in this race. Minardi's teammates were pushing near 200 miles per hour at the Belgian GP to make it to the finish line. They were running too close for comfort, I'm afraid. And right at the last lap, near the finish line, when Fittipaldi tried to overtake Martini.
He just touches, look at the car, goes up through the vertical. Oh my goodness!
Luckily, no one got hurt, but the car did do a 360 and still finished in one piece. Now, the reason behind that roller coaster is still not clear, but understandably, Christian Fittipaldi was not happy with his teammate. I was so glad to be alive. I won't waste time in my life to argue with a fool like him. For me, he was dirty, an imbecile. Well, at least we're not gonna see anything like that again, I hope. And so goes for this as well. Cause guys, you won't believe what this driver went through, which even shocked me completely. When the race started, first he immediately overtook for the lead.
A lot of speculation this weekend about how the two Williams teammates would handle that start, and apparently Nigel Mansel just went for it.
Things were going well. Mansell started creating a big gap, but it even got better when his closest rivals McLaren retired. This was a big deal, considering McLaren drivers won all the previous races of the year, which even brought Nelson Piquet up to P2. But Mansell was already far ahead of him. Another good thing for the Williams driver. I mean, he was literally smoking the competition. This made Mansell have the win in sight. So much so that in the last lap, he even started waving to the crowd. But who knew that this wave would turn everything into a disaster?
He's taking the hairpin He's stopping! Nigel Mansel, just a few hundred yards from the flag on the last lap. He's stopping, he's banging his steering wheel in frustration. Something has happened. It looks as though he's out of the race.
Since Mansell prematurely started waving to the crowd, this caused his engine revs to drop too low, that it shut down the car's electronic system. It is almost unbelievable, Mansell said afterwards. Now, officially, the reason given was a gearbox failure, but some stories suggest that Mansell allegedly had taken the hairpin in 6th gear and let the revs drop too low. He got stranded in the middle of the track, with the finish line in sight, and handed Nelson Piquet the victory.
Just tried to push again the last lap, but when I saw him, I couldn't believe it. It was very, very good, very lucky.
Man, you should never get too excited, clearly. Mansell did go through a big loss, but it wasn't as bizarre as what this whole team went through. And that too in the greatest race of all, Le Mans. It was 2016, a very important year for Toyota, especially since they'd never won Le Mans before. Toyota remained winless for more than 2 decades, and that too just because of bad luck moments. I mean, the team had countless race disasters, which even gave them the nickname Toyota the Cursed. So, almost everybody thought Toyota and Le Mans never gonna happen. But in 2016, things changed. Toyota was competitive the entire weekend. They had a good start, giving their rivals Audi and Porsche some serious competition. Things were close throughout the day and even throughout the night. But during that night, Toyota finally got an edge when Porsche started having troubles. Given their rivals' reliability issues, this gave Toyota a huge advantage. And the next morning, Anthony Davidson finally showcased Toyota's full strength.
At 9 in the morning, Anthony Davidson overtakes Mark Lieb in his Porsche.
For the very first time, Toyota was leading the race. They were leading Le Mans. So you can say things were going well. Now, 2 hours left, and Toyota for the very first time in history on the verge to win Le Mans. You can imagine how big this is. As the time went on, tension started increasing, even became a bit unbearable. Once again, Toyota had never won Le Mans before. But this time, it was different. It felt different. Toyota was strong right from the beginning, and even their rivals were either trailing behind or forced to retire due to technical problems. In the final hours, the number 5 Toyota held its lead, and so by the final stretch of the race, it was clear this was Toyota's race to lose. After 2 decades of near misses and heartbreaks, finally Toyota was about to win their first ever Le Mans.
Toyota have got themselves into a very, very good frame of mind.
As the clock approached the 24th hour, Kazuki Nakajima was behind the wheel for the final stretch, guiding the car through its last steps, each corner carefully navigated, each straight taken with controlled speed. The countdown began. 5 minutes left, then 4, then 3. Victory was within sight. The team started preparing to celebrate their long-sought triumph. Toyota was going to win Le Mans. But with just 3 minutes remaining…
It's stopping! It's stopping! There's going to be a lead change on the start-finish line. There is a new leader. 3 minutes, 21 seconds to go, and there's a new leader. The 5 car has stopped.
Fans could only watch in horror as Kazuki went nuts, flicking switches and doing just about everything to power up the hybrid beast. But the car instantly lost power and the entire crowd became silent. The race ended. Porsche celebrated their unexpected win. And on the other side, in the Toyota garage, there were no words.
What must it be like in that Toyota garage? This is tough times. Of course Porsche are celebrating.
Once again, Le Mans chose its winner. And once again, it was not Toyota. But now, out of all the craziness seen earlier, here's the craziest racing move of this video, which changed F1 forever. After qualifying P3, this Ferrari driver started competing right from the start. Straight off the bat, Mansell showcased his aggressive driving style, quickly building a strong position in the race. He was in the mix for the lead almost every lap, and soon he was leading the race.
Now, Nigel Mansel leads on lap 23.
The British driver was dominating the track, beautifully going through corners as he pushed his car to the absolute limit. But his entire world flipped upside down when he went for the pit stop.
There's confusion now. Mansel's missed his pit. This is a disaster for Nigel Mansel.
Mansell was so caught up in the heat of the moment that he overshot the pit box and had to reverse back to get in position. But this wasn't the crazy move I was talking about. Mansell had just misjudged the speed, thus reversed back in the parking zone. But according to officials, this was allegedly a violation of rules. No driver was allowed to do this. And so, Nigel Mansell received a black flag from the officials, which, as you know, means instant disqualification. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Mansell was ordered to come into the pits and retire the car right away, but he didn't.
It's either Senna or Mansell, and I can't see why it should be Nigel Mansell, but that flag is again being shown as they go past.
He pushed the gas and was once again in action, making his way back to the front. It was lap 47 when Mansell was given the black flag. On lap 49, he was still on the track. Clearly, you can see what's going on, right? Mansell kept racing, and then for those couple laps, even went on to have a fierce battle with Senna. Senna was one of the championship contenders of the 1989 F1 season, competing with Mansell. So, you know, every point matters. But obviously in this case, Mansell was given a black flag, which means he'll go back to the pits and retire the car, as his race was over.
And Mansell is trying to go through and goes off, both of them. Senna and Mansell, and Senna's out of the race. His right rear wheel is cocking right up in the air.
And they're waving it hard to Mansell.
Both cars went crashing into the barriers, officially out of the race. Well, Mansell was already out. And based on the points tally, this retirement not only cost Senna a podium, but also his bid for the 1989 championship.
I believe, first of all, having done the pit stop that he did, he knew he was out, because you just cannot make reverse on the pit, simple as that.
But Mansell, on the other hand, had completely different views.
I caught Senna, and at this time, apparently was black flagged. I did not see any flag. I was competing for second place. It's as simple as that.
No one can say for sure what actually happened there. But the stewards did fine Nigel Mansell $50,000 for ignoring the black flag and banned him for the following race as well. This resulted in Mansell even threatening to retire if the ban wasn't overturned.
If they believe, honestly, I saw it and ignored it, I will have to consider retiring sooner rather than later from Formula One.
Mansell even claimed he never saw the black flag because of sunlight, and there was nothing about it on the comms either. But was there really nothing on the comms? And did he really not see the flag?